Welcome to the virtual tour of Christendom College. My name is Clare Tapsak and I am the visit coordinator here in admissions. Before we get started, I just would like to say, hopefully this video inspires you to come visit campus actually. The campus right now is super beautiful, and so hopefully one day you'll be able to see it for real. Also, before we get started, I just wanted to say a few quick facts just to set the pace. So Christendom it's a lay-operated institute of higher education founded by Dr. Warren H. Carroll under the patronage of Our Lady of Fatima. It was founded in 1977, and we moved here in Front Royal, Virginia in 1979. We have a very beautiful campus, and currently we have about 500 undergraduate students, a faculty-student ratio of 15:1, and a team of staff dedicated to the mission of Christendom, which is to restore all things in Christ. Let's get started. Well, this is the inside of Regina Caeli. It was originally a hunting lodge, which you can kind of get the feel for from the wooden beams, heavy floor, heavy furniture. We bought this property, like I said, in 1979. And when we moved here, this was one of the original buildings. This is where we had our meals. You can imagine the tables along here. This is where faculty had their offices. This is where the students had their classes. This was the main center of campus. Presently, it is just mainly the administrative building of campus. So we have admissions office to my left. We have registrar, marketing, advancement. Our president, Dr. O'Donnell's office is right down the hall. So as a student, you wouldn't really be in here unless you were doing homework, running an errand, maybe going to work at someone's office. But actually during the evenings, every other Sunday, the students put on a Chester Belloc debate, which is a parliamentary style debate, and it helps the students practice in rhetoric and public speaking. And the students get very, very involved with this, as well as some faculty and alumni. So that's something that goes on that's something the students really enjoy. Next up is Warren Carroll's grave. This is Dr. Carroll's graveyard. This whole site is called the Founders Graveyard. This is where all the founding faculty members and their spouses will be buried. Over here we also have Dr. Chris Burns. She was the head of philosophy when she was here, and she died earlier in 2019. Dr. Carroll was a convert to the faith, actually. He founded the college, like I said, in 1977 and was at that time a recent convert. So it's pretty amazing how in the 70s and the 60s, during the time when the church was going through some confusion and people were falling away from the faith, we find a man coming to the faith and founding a Catholic college. So Dr. Carroll passed away on July 17th, 2011, so a few years ago, but his legacy still stands and he has a beautiful view. Next up is Madonna Hall. So here's Madonna Hall. This originally was part of the lodge. It was the motel. This is where the families would come and stay. So when we bought the property, we transformed it into the dorms. So this is where all the original 26 students stayed. And as the years went on, we built some more dorms, and this became just the guys' dorms. And then later on, in what it is currently, it's the faculty offices. So we have a really important connection between the faculty and staff and the students. And it's really important for the faculty to be able to communicate easily with the students. And so they're very close by and very easy to access. Faculty give their office hours out to students as a form of academic aid. You can come and talk one-on-one about your classes or homework or something. This building over here is an addition. It's Madonna the Tower, we call it, just to give more room for the faculty and give more office space. But this is a nice little area for them to hang out and also to just have, again, a beautiful view of the river. Thomas Aquinas Hall. This is one of our classrooms. It's a pretty large classroom. It used to be our original chapel, and you can kind of imagine how quickly we grew out of this. So when the new chapel, which is our current chapel, was finished built in 1995, that's when this one got shut down and transformed into a classroom. Our president, Dr. O'Donnell, teaches History 101 in here. covering the time period from the ancient Greeks and Romans up into the Incarnation. So as a freshman, you're here for the first semester, you learn about the Incarnation and all of that in the Bible, and then you go home for Christmas. So this is our student center proper. We have on my right St. Kilian's and on my left the Student Life building. Both are obviously for the students' use. St. Kilian's over here was actually the original shed or barn of the lodge. And then when we bought the property, we transformed it into a library. And since then, we've kept growing, obviously. And now this is our student center, all of it. So we'll go ahead into Kilian's. This is St. Kilian's, named after an Irish saint. It has signs that say pub, cafe. It's neither of those things permanently. It's primarily just a social events center, part of the student center total. So students come here during the day primarily just to do homework, use the Wi-Fi, maybe practice an instrument with their friends. And then during the evenings, it can be used for different events such as trivia night, karaoke, things like Life on Tap. So there's actually two quick events I want to mention. So first of which is Life on Tap. That is a career development run event where different alumni are called back and they present to the students about their specific field. So people who are in nursing, people who are doing engineering, they come back and tell the students, I came to Christendom, I went through the education, and then I went on and did nursing, engineering, etc. So it's really awesome for the students to be able to connect with the alumni in that way, and also to see the different opportunities open to them. The second event is Thomistic Tuesdays. It's a great example of the faculty getting involved with the students, and this just happens to be over lunchtime. One of our professors, Mr. Brown, is a philosophy professor, and he also helps with a professional catering company in town. So on some Tuesdays during the semester, he'll come and cater lunch to the students. It's very popular. And he'll also pick a reading from St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa or something like that. And then he'll have a fellow professor come and present on it. It is something usually substantial enough to get people interested, but short enough to last just the lunch hour. It's very popular, like I said, so we've had to change it from Thomistic Tuesdays to Thomistic Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So the students really, really love that one. Next, we'll go through here. So this is the Student Life office. This is where students come and get their mail, get your boxes. Other than that, it's pretty much just a place for students to come and check their email, maybe finish some homework, watch a show or something. Downstairs, we have like a game room. We won't go down there, but they have things like pool tables, ping pong, TV. There's lots of board games down there, so it's really awesome for them to just be able to spend their free time that way. We also have something I want to point out to you is our Student Activities Council. Marilyn Charba is the director of our Student Activities Council. And I point that out because she's in charge of a group of students who are in charge of overseeing the events, putting them on, setting up. It's a huge leadership role, honestly. They have to finance, get people to volunteer. I was on it for a few years. It's really fun, but it also is a great opportunity for you to maybe start a club or for you to just get involved with the other things on campus. It's completely volunteer, so you're not paid, but our students definitely take on an attitude of service here. So, like I said, it's pretty easy to contact the person in charge of the club. So if there's something on campus that you see a need for, if there's something you want to fill, that's the person you want to talk to. So behind me are the guys' dorms. I'm not going to actually go in them, but I recommend that you guys check out a video made by my coworker Michael. He goes through all the guys' dorms and shows you the ins and outs of them, so highly recommend checking those out. Behind me, if you can see it, there is a brick house with a porch. That is our Chaplaincy House. So our head chaplain, Father Pollard, and our assistant chaplain, Father Tom, they live over there, and they're super accessible and awesome with the students. They encourage you to come out to them for spiritual direction, one-on-one confession, or just to stop by and chat. They both teach classes here at Christendom, so you can also go over there for their office hours and talk about their classes. But they're just right across the street. is our Christ the King Chapel. It was opened in 1995 after we closed our littler chapel. It has a structure similar to a church that closed down in Winchester, Sacred Heart Church. And we actually gathered some items from that church. Before we go in, I'll just mention them. We have the altar, we have the stained glass windows, and there's a cornerstone actually that says 1870. That's all from the church back in Winchester. So this, like I said, is the inside of the church. Really quick, we have multiple opportunities for people to receive sacraments. We have 2 daily masses, one at 7:30 a.m. and then one at 11:30. They're mostly Novus Ordo, but we do offer twice a week traditional Latin Mass. We also have confessions offered at least 2 hours a day, usually before, during, and after Mass, as well as after school, between like 5 and 7. We also have Eucharistic adoration for an hour every day. And on First Fridays, we have Laudamus Te Friday adoration, which is all-night adoration every first Friday of the month. So lots of opportunities to receive the sacrament. Students also have the opportunity to participate in various parts of the church life. We have the choir in the basement of the church. We have the crypt, where there's a classroom, but also Dr. Powderak's office is down there. He's in charge of the choir, and we do Gregorian chant. We do very traditional hymns, usually all in Latin, for the chants at least. And then we also have students have the opportunity to do lecturing, and the young men have the opportunity to serve Mass. So other than that, we'll take a look on the inside, but before I go in, I want to say this out here. There are some stained glass windows in there that they're not actually the original ones, they're fake ones right now, but the real ones were moved out to be refurbished, touched up a little bit, and they're going to be put in our brand new church. So they look the same, but they're not actually the real ones. Also, really cool things. On my left, we have a chalice and paten that was given to us by Cardinal Scotte as a gift from John Paul II when the church was opened in 1995. And then on my right, we have a relic of the True Cross. It's a beautiful thing to have. We bring it out during veneration of the True Cross, during Holy Week, and other events throughout the year. So let's go on in. To my right is the new chapel, which will hopefully be opened in December of 2021. Our current chapel will be transformed into a Catholic art center where we'll have music, we'll have some of our events, hopefully all of them, and major speaker, chamber music, etc. So once that is open, we'll transform the current chapel into that. Some fun facts about this though, we've been blessed with generous donors. We've been able to put a lot of effort and a lot of beautiful things to it. So we have 5 bells that will be put in the tower. We have a pipe organ that's being made especially for this. We have the stained glass windows, which are really going to be beautiful. The size is going to be twice as much as the current chapel, so hopefully we'll be seating closer to 1,000 people instead of just 500 or so. So yeah, it's really exciting, and we're really looking forward to the finish of it. Behind me, across the street, we have our Crusader Fields. It's where we have our soccer games, rugby games, maybe sometimes an ultimate frisbee game. It's really fun as a student to go out and watch your classmate play in the games. And also back there, there's the business office and the special events office. So if you're applying and you want to know where your financial aid office is, that's where it is. And then special events is in charge of transportation and different kinds of events for maybe Dr. O'Donnell or a major speaker or something. The next building we're going to go into is the gym. The girls' dorms are right here to my right, but I suggest that you watched the video from my coworker Cecilia, who made a really awesome video about the dorms. This is our St. Louis the Crusader gym. You'll see the two statues behind me. On my right is Pope Urban II, and on my left is Louis the Crusader. I'll go inside, but before I do, just want to mention that we have 10 sports total. For the girls, we have soccer, basketball, volleyball, cross country, and softball. And for the guys, we have soccer, rugby, cross country, baseball, and basketball. We also have canoes and kayaks available, and we have a dock that leads down to the Shenandoah River. So students who are maybe not with the varsity, but they can still use the kayaks, they go down there and use them. We also offer intramurals, which are not part of the varsity program. They're just between your classmates. You get a team together. You play games like dodgeball, wiffle ball, soccer, indoor soccer, ultimate frisbee, and the likes. It's really fun and it lasts the whole year. So let's go on in. We have, over here we have our weight room. It's fully equipped, some cool things. And then on my right, we have racquetball courts, which are used for obviously racquetball, as well as maybe you can fine-tune your technique skills for soccer, basketball, etc. Upstairs we have treadmill rooms, we have a locker room, and we also have like sofa sitting room with a TV. So this building is pretty important because as a freshman, you come here and the first thing you do during orientation weekend is you play a dodgeball game against the senior class, and then all the other classes verse each other. And it's really a nerve-wracking, it's your first time here, but at the other end of your 4 years here, you come through and this is where you receive your diploma and you graduate. So this building is very symbolic as a student. In addition to that, during Christmas time, this is where we host our Christmas formal. This whole gym is turned into some sort of winter wonderland. We've done Polar Express, we've done Christmas Carol, we've done Christmas at St. Patrick's in New York, and the like. The Student Activities Council is in charge of putting that on, and it's always glamorous, it's always very fun and Christmassy. This basketball court is dedicated to Mr. Thomas Vanderwoody. He was the athletic director from 2002 to 2007, and it's dedicated to him because of his great service here as basketball coach, soccer coach, athletic director, but also because of his beautiful story of fatherhood and of his sacrifice. In 2008, he was on his property. His youngest son, Joseph, had Down syndrome. Unfortunately, through some accident, Joseph fell into a septic tank on the property. And his father jumped in after him, obviously, to save him. And then was calling for help. His wife came, was able to rescue Josie, but just because of the exhaustion and the fumes, Mr. Vanderwoody passed away. He passed away on September 8th, which is Feast of Our Lady, and it was just a very, very sad moment for all of Christendom, but also just a beautiful example of fatherhood. For someone, his son, with Down syndrome, is someone who people would say is not worth living, not worth dying for. But here we have a man he gave his life for his son every day, and just at this moment he just happened to give it for the last time. So because of that beautiful story, we've just decided to dedicate, or just name the basketball court after him in just remembrance of his great work. So that is the gym. Is our library. It's named after St. John the Evangelist, and it was built around 2004, so it's one of our newer buildings. As you can kind of see, we've structured it after some Rome architecture. We have our dome and our piazza. We have a very strong connection with Rome. We have our Rome program, so your junior year, students have the option of taking either the fall or the spring semester and going to Rome to live in a residential area called Balduina, which is about a 15-minute ride outside of St. Peter's. So you get the opportunity to live the Italian life, to speak Italian. You have 4 classes while you're there, so you're also a student, but you're living the life of your local Italians. You get to travel on pilgrimage week to Assisi and Siena and Florence, and it's a beautiful program. It really can be life-changing for some people, and you also are super close to St. Peter's, the heart of the church. So we'll go ahead inside. briefly, this is our rotunda. It kind of represents the more religious part of the building. There are two architects who were in charge of building the library, and one of them was focused on making it very religious, very symbolic, and the other one was functional, practical materials, square things. So they combined the two, and now we have our rotunda, which you can see the 7 IMs of St. John's Gospel, which represents like the religious part, and then when you go inside, that's the reason. So I like to point out this quote above the door. This is the faith that we must enter into before we enter to reason. So this is the main level of the library. Students have access to the books, obviously, but they also have access to public computers, study cubicles along the wall. To my right is Maura Eckel's office. She is the academic success coach. She's one of the academic aides on campus. You can go to her as a student and bring your homework, bring your tests, bring things that need editing. She'll help you schedule out your homework, just talk you through some hard topics. So she's there 100% for the students. She is a great help for them. Make our way to the back, and we have some fun things back there. So behind me, we have an overlook to the Shenandoah River. We have a lot of spots along the river that are overlooks. You can take a seat and look at the river, and we also have some trails that connect the overlooks. So these have been developed over the past few years, been refurbished, etc. We've cleared some trees in the spring and in the fall especially. It's very, very, very beautiful. So we like to point those out. Also over here, we have a shadow box that contains a zucchetto. So there's a fun thing that some students do when they're in Rome. They go to Rome, they buy a zucchetto. It's pretty expensive, it's like $100. And they bring the zucchetto to a papal audience where you have to flag down the Pope, trying to get him to you. It's a huge hassle. But once you're there, you're able to, if he sees you, he comes to you, he offers you, a blessing, but then you're able to take your zucchetto that you bought and offer it to him. He'll take off his that he's wearing and give it to you, take yours and put yours on his head. So it's kind of fun to say that some of our students have done that, and also it could, maybe one day be a relic. So this is our rare books room. As you can probably assume, there are some rare books in here. I'd like to just point out specifically these two things. Over here we have the complete collection of G.K. Chesterton's G.K. Weekly. In comparison, only one or two other places in the world have the complete collection. And then over there to my right, there is a 18th century choir book. It was hand-painted, used when you only had one book in a monastery to look off of, and this was the one. It had to be big enough for everyone to see it once. We jokingly call it the first Bible. It is not, but it looks old enough to be. This is our board room. This is where the board members come and meet about the important issues of campus. In the middle is the cornerstone for our new church. It's in the middle to kind of encourage people to keep your eye on the prize. And then also against the wall, we have some really awesome books that were donated by a person called Vern Walters. He is a very, very cool person. This was his library of books, and he has books signed by Margaret Thatcher, Richard Nixon. There's just a collection of books from people that he's somehow knew throughout his life. He was on the board when he was alive, and did some pretty amazing things for Christendom. This is the lower level of the library. Students use it usually to form study groups in between class times, get your homework done. In the evenings after class time, students come down here and they're able to use the different classrooms as study rooms. And then during the day, obviously, classrooms are full with students. The one thing I really want to point out to you is actually right here behind me. It's our coffee shop. This is our coffee shop. It's called our Sacred Grounds Coffee Shop. It is, I just want to point it out because it's an important example of student initiative. About 10 years ago, there were a few students who just saw that this was a space that wasn't used for anything, and also saw that there was a need for an actual coffee shop on campus. So they pitched the idea to our Student Activities Council and said, hey, we have a lot of people interested in this. We found a faculty member who's willing to be our mentor. What do you think? So they were given permission to start it. It turned out to just be kind of a smaller coffee shop in the beginning, but over the course of the 10 years that it's been open, it's transformed into a almost state-of-the-art coffee shop. We have our industrial espresso machine, the different flavors. We do tea, different kinds of coffee. Now they do food. We have bagels and muffins. So they really have just gotten super big on campus. But in the course of those years, it's still student-run, completely student volunteer, and it's very, very popular with the students and faculty members. So all that being said, if you're coming here and maybe there's something you're interested in, but there's no venue for it here on campus, it's pretty easy to just find people who are interested in it, contact the people who will be able to give you the funds for it, and maybe somehow start a club. And this is an example of that. So here's one of our classrooms. This one holds more seminar-based classes. This one is our faculty member, Dr. Cutterback's room, we like to say. And each faculty member is equipped with a whiteboard, markers and such. And some classrooms are equipped with projector tools. So faculty who like to use slides, presentations, etc., they're able to use those in the classroom. Most of our classrooms, especially here in the library, have a beautiful view of the river right behind the students. And so it adds to the beauty of the class, the academics, etc. So here is an example of a more normal classroom. This one has the lecture base structure. So this is the students obviously facing the front, and again, professors are equipped with a whiteboard, and this one has a projector. So students, when you're here, you experience the core curriculum your freshman and sophomore years. Then by the end of your sophomore year, you get to choose your major. So we have 7 majors. We have philosophy, history, English, literature, we have theology, we have political science, classics, and math. And then you can minor in any of those, as well as physics and liturgical music. So again, by the end of your sophomore year, you would have chosen those, and then you complete the rest of your 2 years here with some other core classes in there, mostly theology and philosophy, and then you go on to write your thesis your senior year. So this is the classrooms. This is our St. Lawrence Commons. It's ironically named after the saint who was martyred on a grill, but also St. Lawrence is the patron of cooks, so we dedicated the whole commons to him. This is where our students have their meals. So we offer 3 meals a day, and the most important of which is actually lunch. So when you come as a student, you have your meals, but then lunch is something that comes right after 11:30 Mass. And the whole student body is here, as well as faculty and staff members who usually go to 11:30 Mass and then are welcome to join lunch. So because of our small size, we're able to accommodate the whole campus, basically. And it's a terrific way for you as a student to meet your faculty members, to talk to different staff members, to say hello to your roommate you haven't seen all day or something like that. But that's all happening here. It's really, really cool. Other than meals, we have our stage behind me, so sometimes we host some of our plays over here. For the musicals, we usually go in town for, there's an auditorium there that we borrow. We also use this area for St. Patrick's Day. We also host Swingin' Sundays, which is a student-run event where you come in every other Sunday. There's actual ice cream sundaes, and then there's also swing dancing, so hence the Swingin' Sundays. Other than that, this building is also used for things like homecoming dances. There's a balcony up there that students use for Latin lunches, Italian lunches. They speak different languages to each other. And then in front of me, we have the actual cafeteria. Pretty awesome. Chef does a really awesome job of accommodating people's allergies. He also offers a lot of variety of food. So we usually have our salad, we usually have the deli over here, the hot line in the back, something international on the side, and there's usually some fresh fruits available on the front. And then lastly, but not lastly, is the pizza oven. Students use that a lot. And then on my left over here, there's a bunch of cold and hot drinks. So there's a lot of variety for the students. And then if you have an allergy, chef is able to work with you one-on-one. And then I think the students' favorite location is the ice cream bar over here, which is open to every lunch for the students to use. In the lower level, we have classrooms and also Mary Beth Kelly's office. She is the Director of Student Support Services, so she oversees any kind of student accommodation for all of students. So if you have classroom, if you have class at 8:30, it's really awesome. And so you come in here for breakfast and then immediately go downstairs for your class at 8:30 a.m. But other than that, this building is also used for homework. You can come in, use the Wi-Fi, get your homework done, and then head down to class. So that's the Commons. Awesome. Well, that's the tour. I'm really glad that you came along, and I really hope that this encourages you to come out in person and experience the campus in its full glory with the students and the faculty and the staff members, attend 11:30 Mass, and just experience the classroom and all of those good things. We hope to see you soon. God bless.